Oh, baby, it's a beautiful green girthy dildo day, my friends. El Salvador, the savior, has come in with their massive girthy green dildos, shoved it in the shish kebab market, and we got a fucking bear trap confirmed. Exactly as predicted, just as yesterday. And sorry for the intro, right there. Having a little bit of fun today, because why the hell not, man? It was a good day yesterday, and a good day today perhaps as well, and I imagine the rest of this month is actually going to be rather interesting nonetheless. So with that said, we have a trappy market. We have a bear trap, we have a bull trap, we have a bear trap, we have a bull trap. Anyways, with that said, I would like to wish you the best and the happiest. Welcome to all new people here, as I do see that there's plenty of new faces, which very much welcome to you, as this is a fun little venue to be meeting up on. Whoa, this is a Wendy's. That's news to me, man. I thought that this was El Salvador, and I'm trying to join over there now. Anyways, with that said, we have plenty to talk about today. How does this change the picture now that we do have that bear trap confirmed, as we did speak about for the last couple days here? Well, actually, a lot has not necessarily changed, but it just kind of shows the path forwards here. So with that in mind, I do want to now get into the Krown app, which can be found at app.krown.net. And what do we see? We see actually a couple of very, very interesting things going on right here. Bitcoin dominance, as you likely have already noticed, has already gone up about 2% from yesterday to today. That is actually really interesting to me, because we do see that most alts, especially even the strong ones for the past 5-6 months here, are actually losing versus Bitcoin, as Bitcoin does rally and regain the range, essentially performing that good old trap. So what does that essentially suggest? Well, when do we typically see that sort of a situation? Hit the like, says Shahar. Appreciate that, Mr. Shahar. But we gotta let people find this place on their own. That's the whole idea of this cave. You have to be called by the cave. You have to be a seeker in order to be found. And with that said, I of course I do appreciate it. But it's one of those places, man. We got to keep it secret as much as possible. Anyways, okay, so yes, where the fuck was I? All right, yes, Bitcoin dominance over here. Bitcoin dominance is heading up, which we typically only see during strong trending moves. Now, with that said, when was the last time we actually saw something like that? Well, basically when Bitcoin first started breaking out, it must have been like half a year ago on the macro scale. And then, of course, before that, the only other times were on mega trending moves, both to the downside and the upside, namely 2018 and 2017 to the upside, 2018 obviously to the downside. So is this an early indication perhaps that we are actually going to see Bitcoin flip right around here? I do think we do have some more upside overall on this rally. The trap very likely is not done just yet, but I wouldn't say that that's conclusive in and of itself. We'll be looking at a few things today that are a little bit more forwards looking, And it should be fun. So with all of that said, we do see that open interest did take a leg up yesterday as well. Good, as we do put it essentially in the trap. Another 500, I think it was about $500 million added to the books. We can actually document that in the market data tab soon enough, but certainly around about $500 million, if I do recall correctly. It was around about 5.7, 5.8 yesterday. So a significant amount of positions being added on that nice, what is it, like about 15 to 20% move to the upside. Anyways, top 10 best coins, top 10 worst coins. We see Kusama, Thorchain, Polkadot, Zcash is even on the winners list. What the fuck? Horizon, Monero, Qtum, Wrapped, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Hey, Bitcoin's finally on there. There we go. Lovely. All on the winners list. Actually having a pretty damn good day. And on the losers list, what do we see? Theta Fuel actually giving a little bit of those gains. Helium, 0x, Cello, Telcoin. No, not Telcoin. Actually, these are very muted losses right here, as you can see, just down about 0.5% it looks like, and everything else is actually a stable coin. So pretty good day for the market in general. But remember, it is when we're looking at Bitcoin dominance, altcoins obviously have to outpace Bitcoin in these regards. So I do think that is a very interesting early warning signal that we actually are going to see quite the move from this region. But it's not conclusive in and of itself. We need to match up with a few other things, which we'll get into soon enough. Anyways, into the market data tab we go. Let's see what we got going on over here. And yes. Okay, beautiful. So remember yesterday, the funny rate, and the day before and the day prior to that as well, the funny rate was a really big signal that, hey, this has all the etchings of a trap. Remember, we looked at the volume signature, we looked at the volatility signature, we looked at the structure, and we looked at the funny rate right here as well, and open interest as well. And all of those were suggesting, hey, this is a strong trap potential. Then we got a confirmation above the range at about, I think it was $34,000 on a 4-hour, and then, well, the rest is, I suppose, history for the last 24 hours. Anyways, with that said, we actually still see several exchanges with negative rates right here. So I do still think that we have a little bit more on this rally in the short and medium term. And at some point, we will get a pullback. Everyone's going to hold their breath, and hopefully Bitcoin puts in something resembling a higher lows. We still do not have anything like that just yet on a time frame that really matters for major or especially macro structure. Hey, what's up, Zach? Krown Finex on the daily, please. Actually, I need to turn off the alerts right here. Yeah, man. I think Elsa or Pedro are on it today, but we'll have to say that for a little bit later. Anyways, anything else that I want to be talking about right here? Yeah, open interest. Okay, certainly did go up actually significantly there. About it actually had a high yesterday of 6.5 billion. That is so actually almost a full billion in one day, which is actually quite good. Again, as Bitcoin does regain the range and put in that trappy behavior. Fear and greed index also was another one of the puzzle pieces, kind of suggesting that, hey, this is probably, if Bitcoin is going to break down from $30,000, it's probably not going to happen exactly from where we saw yesterday. It's probably going to happen after a bounce. And what do you know? It's actually still rather fearful right now, even as Bitcoin does rally up and test pretty much around $37,000, which is actually quite fine to me. Anyways, just as an aside here, I've actually been speaking with Elsa and a few other people as well. She's a part of this like Finnish Bitcoin group or Finnish crypto group or something, and she's like actually been relaying me information about what they say in there. And everyone, maybe not everyone, but the strong majority of people in that group were just cursing crypto, saying that it's all dead, it's never coming back. When Bitcoin was hanging around the low $30,000 territory, classic fucking signal. I was also part of another group which actually sees a lot of how do I explain this? Not crypto influencers, but like general influencers. Like big names like Jake Paul and whatnot, and they were kind of saying the same thing as well. Kind of funny that works like that. But sentiment indicators, they obviously need to combine with actual structure on price action, and we see both of them actually happening finally as of yesterday. So that is rather good. And what's up, Bitcoin for all? Seek is you have been seeked and found. There he is, Krown for all. Yeah, man. Anyways, Parth Pawa says, can you please check out Finex shorts? Okay, so this is going to be the next meme within this market. I will address this right now, and I want to bring this back to, I think this was either 2018 or 2019. We had a very similar situation. Anyways, let me first explain the current situation that a lot of people are talking about. This is the new fucking meme within this market, that shorts are going and skyrocketing on Finex. First and foremost, Finex is more or less an irrelevant exchange at this point. It's not like it was in 2017 and 2018, where it was one of the major exchanges doing the majority of volume. Now it's very inconsequential. It doesn't do all that much, but people still want to look at Finex shorts and longs and kind of compare them, and fair enough. Maybe there is something to that. Anyways, we saw a very similar situation in, I believe it was 2018 actually. I can actually bring you to it over here on the chart itself. Let me see. Where's my damn shorts and longs chart? Come on, where the fuck are you, sir? Where have you gone? There you are, found you. And as you can see right here, yeah, massive positions being added right there. But we've seen this before. And the funny thing about Finex, if you actually read their contract details and their contract specifications, you know what? know what's very funny about that? These positions can be claimed off the books, essentially. What does that mean? It means that what someone's likely doing right here, assuming that they know something that you do not know, is that what they're doing is they're using this position as a cover, perhaps even to dissuade other people. And what they can do at the end of the day is they can just cover with spot longs, and that's probably what they have done. Someone putting on this big of a position here, assuming that it is, majorly, one entity, essentially. This person is very likely a professional. They have a shit ton of money, and a professional like that is not going to just be gambling their money all willy-nilly. They're not going fucking naked long, naked short. That's ridiculous. That is only the way that the worst of the worst think. What they're doing is they're using this very likely as a cover. What do you use futures positions and derivative positions for? It's for, well, managing your deltas and covering yourself. And in this case right here, I think it's pretty damn clear that this person probably has spot longs, and what they'll end up doing is just covering these positions, and then what do you know? The position just disappears like nothing. We've seen this, like I said before. I think it was over, maybe not over here because that was actually more recent. Unfortunately, it looks like we actually don't have too much long-term data on this any longer. We do go back to 2018. I think it was over here, perhaps, if I remember, somewhere in this region over here, 2018 to 2019. One of these ones. I believe it was this one actually. Maybe that's like end of 2019. Anyways, regardless of the fact. My point is that these positions can be claimed off the books. So while people are going to make a fucking meme out of a molehill right here, I do believe that this is not the right way to be coming at things long term. This will only be a distraction to you long term. But as far as price action goes, I would imagine that it does support, well, a short squeeze going on right here. Problem is that we don't really have a whole hell of a lot of shorts to be squeezing. If we actually look at the real open interest across all major exchanges, I mean, it's actually not that high, to be fair. Now, I do think that there's more liquidity to the upside than the downside at this exact moment right now, but I still do think that we're in a ranging market overall. The range is rather large on the macro scale, about 30,000 to 50,000 bucks, and I do think that we are going to spend some time within this region. More importantly, on top of all of this, what's the thing that no one's talking about right now? It's not that no one's talking about it, but what's the thing that's probably least expected right now? Everyone's expecting either Bitcoin goes moon or Bitcoin goes doom. What's most likely is Bitcoin goes sideways, holds the range, and the best thing for Bulaws would to be staying within, 30,000, 50,000 bucks for the next, well, let's say, I don't know, it could be next 2 to 3 months, something like that. It's probably the most likely thing to happen, especially if you are bullish. What I want to bring you over here is following up on the put call market, of which, remember yesterday we said, hey, look at the weekly expirations right here. It's extremely, extremely, extremely unlikely that Bitcoin does break 30,000 bucks this week at the very least. And this was your clear indication of that. Whenever you see something like this, you can almost bet your fucking asshole that this is not going to happen. And what I would say about that is, look, and what I'd say about that is that also is another piece of the puzzle as to why we were looking for a trap yesterday. And I just want to give a massive shout out to everyone who was here for the last few days watching that actually happen in motion. Understand that that is not a very easy thing to do for most traders, even professional experienced traders. Traps are trapped for a reason. They're supposed to get you on the wrong side of the trade. So if you did trade that rather well, congratulations, because that is very, 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 very honorable and well done. Anyways, let's go look at the June regulars here, as we do see a major position being built. And I'd feel quite confident saying at this point, as I have been for the last week, Bitcoin very likely does find its way above 40,000 bucks, but we do have a bit of a conundrum between about $40,000 and $48,000. So somewhere in there, I do believe Bitcoin will settle in for the end of this month here. And realistically, I do actually still think that Bitcoin probably does put in something resembling a bull trap in the mid to perhaps even upper $40,000 territory. That bull trap does not necessarily imply that Bitcoin will make lower lows than our current $30,000 low, which I believe I've been a little bit misheard of as I kind of peruse some of the comments. But overall, I do think that Bitcoin could come back, could pop up there, come back down to about 35,000 bucks, rest there for another month or so, and then give another try to the upside long term. Perhaps sometime around the end of summer, it would make most sense to myself. Anyways, let me just make sure that I got my other screens going on over here. Okay, we are good, and let's get back into the actual charts themselves. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to do some fun stuff right now. Or do I want to do some fun stuff, or do I want to do some let's save the fun stuff for a second here. Okay, so first and foremost, remember, coming into this month, if we go over here to the monthly, we did see that the accumulation distribution indicator actually did have a positive slope, which did give us the bias that Bitcoin was essentially being accumulated in the in the mid to low $30,000 territory. With that in mind, as long as this does remain with a positive slope, I do look at this as very, 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 very likely to ultimately put in a base at the the mid to low $30,000 territory and then continue onwards and upwards over time. So keep an eye on this one, but just kind of following up on that, another sort of signal within the trappy venue there. Anyways, on top of that, the next signal that I'm really waiting for in order to kind of denote, a macro low in Bitcoin's case would be three things, of which we still actually have 0 of them. But there is something really interesting to me that could be happening. I don't know actually how soon it'll happen, but if we bring it over here to the hash ribbons, we can see that we're still in the recovery phase, which is a non-signal. Obviously, it's just kind of like a wait and see, I suppose. What we're waiting for is the blue buy signal, as you do see way the fuck back on over here. Now, this is a fundamentally based indicator, obviously, so it need to be combined with obviously price action, technical indicators as well, but this is one piece of the puzzle. And in this case right here, I would be looking at this. If it does print in a blue buy signal, I would feel quite confident saying that Bitcoin will not break $30,000 overall. Until that happens though, the opportunity is still very much alive for that, and Bitcoin could very easily come back down to 20 to 25,000 bucks. But again, for now, upside is the name of the game. What I want to show you is all of these past blue buy signals have actually confirmed the macro low, or maybe not actually the macro low, but at least a major low before putting in a basically continuation of long-term uptrend. So what I want to show you right here is that on the December 20th signal right here, where we did get the blue buy signal, Bitcoin does come back down. You'll notice that obviously, but where does it actually find that higher low? Well, it does not go lower than the prior higher low. So I do put a lot of weight on that. If we were to get something resembling a blue buy signal over here, I'd feel quite confident, like I said, saying that Bitcoin will not go below about 30,000 bucks, or 33,000 bucks if you want to be super exact. We can go through a few more examples of this if you want, where we do see this blue buy signal right here. If we measure out the last low before that, which was right around here, yes, Bitcoin does come back down around there, but certainly does not close on new lows, and the rest is, well, just straight to the upside, as you can see. Same thing on this one right here, where we got on coronavirus dumb times, blue buy signal happens, prior low is right here. Bitcoin obviously never goes lower than that as well. This one over here, rather interesting as well. We do get the blue buy signal. Prior low is right here. Bitcoin does come back down around and test around it, but that is actually a phenomenal buy signal for about a 30 to 40% move from about about 7,000 bucks to just over 10,000 bucks, almost 11. Time before that was way the fuck back on over here on this blue buy signal. Yes, Bitcoin does come back down, but the prior low of that whole structure, $31,000, does hold. So you'll notice that there actually is one example here, and the ones that we've done just thus far, that actually did come lower than the prior blue buy signal, but that is actually the only one that I found in Bitcoin's history. If we go all the way back, I don't know if I want to bore you too much with the rest of this. You can obviously, confirm this yourself, but there is, one iteration where that did not hold true. I do think that is a bit of an outlier, and there's also something that's a little bit more interesting going on right here as well, as we can combine that with obviously the BBWP, which we'll do in a second. But before that, I just want to double check. Yep, this one works out over here. This one works out over here. This one works out over here. And these, and the slew of these ones actually work out over here as well. So that's 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, so 10 of 11 signals have played on that in that venue. So if we do print a blue buy signal, which again is not happening, really anytime soon because we're still in the recovery phase, then I would feel quite confident saying that, hey, this will be the macro low, and Bitcoin will, probably base around here again, maybe in the mid $30,000 territory, but ultimately that will be, well, the last basing point before runs to prior all-time highs and perhaps even beyond. Again, this very likely takes some time. I'm not saying this is happening today or tomorrow. I don't think that it happens even within the next few months, to be honest with you, but this is going to be a little bit of a long-term game here. Anyways, with that said, Bitcoin did regain the 20 simple moving average right here on the daily, and we do see daily SMI turning up. Remember, we also looked at this one as well. This is an index stochastic, by the way. So when you look at something like that, we can kind of compare the past historical moves. And when we did look at this area over here, we noticed yesterday that very rarely, whenever we do have a slight downturn, which we actually were printing yesterday for a second there, almost never does it hold up, and it typically is always a trap. As you can see right here, this was December 2019 on this move before, well, just going straight to the upside. And when was the last time before that? This one right here, very, very similar as well. Very, very similar in structure as well, too, after Bitcoin came down from about, 14,000 bucks all the way down to about 7,000 to 8,000 bucks. And then boom, nice move up. And then same thing, a couple times prior on the actual last macro low at about 3,100, and a few times before that, which we don't need to go over right now. Anyways, my point is that for now, yes, I do think that Bitcoin has more upside here. I don't think that Bitcoin's done just yet. I think that it very likely trades up somewhere in like the mid $40,000 territory. If I had to call it right now, probably somewhere around 44 to 45,000 bucks. But there is a couple other things that do still make me consider strongly that Bitcoin very likely does put in something to remember, resembling a bull trap on the other side. So again, this is a trappy market right now. We got a bear trap down here. And where would I be looking for a potential bull trap? At least historically speaking, where does it become relevant? Well, as you can see right here on the 5-day chart, we do see that anytime the red 10 symbol crosses the downside of the yellow 21 exponential average, well, that has always drawn price action into it. You can see right here was the last example that we had before that. Actually right here on coronavirus dump times as well. And right here, and every time Bitcoin does rally into that region. Now, every time but one singular time that has turned into a trap and Bitcoin actually has gone lower over time. I can make an argument, however, that we do have more characteristics of what we saw on the coronavirus dump times over here than we do on the other ones that did eventually turn into a trap. But still, that is a potential opportunity, especially if we do not print that blue buy signal, sometime, on this next rally, essentially, which it will very likely have a chance to do so. But kind of going over these last few examples right here, you get the cross right here. This one was actually basing below the 89 exponential average, so that would actually be a counterpoint to what I just said. It's not exactly the same as what we're looking at right now, but ultimately this one does rally into it, and this one just continues onwards and upwards. This one over here, though, very, very similar. In fact, if we do bring it over to what we're looking at right now, Bitcoin bases on the cyan 89 exponential average right here, bounces up into the actual cross itself, spends a little bit of time above it, to be fair, but then comes down and actually, makes new lows on top of that. Same thing on this example over here. Bitcoin bounces off the cyan 89 exponential average. The cross happens right here. Bitcoin rallies into it, rejects, moves lower over the next year. Same thing over here as well, where Bitcoin gets across, bounces off the 89 and bull trap right here, and then that's pretty much the only iteration, the last iteration that we have for that particular signal. But I would argue that this iteration right here is a little bit different in some ways. The reason why I say that is because the BBWP did print some pretty intense reads there. We did get to 100 percentile for actually a couple days in a row, as you do see. And this is a volatility-based indicator. And this is really, my preferred way for, at the very least, looking at potential, at least major lows, but personally, macro lows in this case. And we actually did have a relatively similar signature to what we saw on over at March 2020 in coronavirus dump times, where it did print a red read right there. All the other ones did not actually get to 100 percentile, to be fair. So with that in mind, I do think that this, very likely could actually not do the thing that I think most blue laws wanted to do, to put it bluntly. But that needs to be accompanied, of course, by price action structure, which would be about $50,000 to the upside, and of course that hash ribbon signal as well. For right now, to be fair, Bitcoin is still in a downtrend on the daily. Now, do I think that it's going to break the trend right here? I do think so. I think that is probably going to move up short term to about 40 or 41,000 bucks. Above 41,000 bucks, I extend that move to 45 or 46,000 bucks. Remember, that actually is right around where where's my damn thing? Actually, I probably have it in here. I do have it in here. my fib retracement right here, of which it looks like I actually changed it around. But let's see, what time frame did I do this on? There, that's why it's all messed up right there. Okay, let's actually drag it down right there to the actual lows. There we go. And you can see the 0.5 and the 618, which are typically your sort of bull trappy-ish targets, are in the deeper $40,000 territory. Again, bringing that back into the put call market over here, you can see that there's significant interest between about $48,000 and $50,000 strikes for calls specifically. I would feel quite confident saying that Bitcoin will not close above that region at the end of this month, that being June. Now, we don't necessarily say the same thing for July just yet. In fact, if we go look at July's, I can already tell you that July is going to be inconclusive because we don't see any, particular major open interest read right here. So it's very, very variable right now. We can't see that. Once we come to the closer end of this month of June, people should roll their positions and then we'll have to get a better idea of it. But I don't even think it's worth looking at right now because there's just not enough interest. Anyways, looking at this right back on over here, I do want to suggest that there is several other signals saying that Bitcoin does trade higher from this region on the daily. We do see a daily, daily TSI turning up nice and freshly back above the critical zone for the bear outside. Now, we actually are going to be coming into contact with this trend line for the last few highs right here, it looks like. But I also do believe that, if we do close above, let's see, where do we continue above? Yeah, continues rising above about 33,000 bucks. So as long as Bitcoin closes today above 33,000 bucks, very likely we do actually see this broken, and Bitcoin probably does test somewhere around the neutral zone in that case. On top of that, we do have regular bullish divergence on daily RSI, 1, 2, 3 drives, in fact, correlated with this low, and this low right here. Typically speaking, the target's going to be the 21. In this case, we pretty much already hit there. Personally speaking, I do think that Bitcoin, the second that it closes a daily above 38,000 bucks, or even a 12-hour in this case, we're going to see this one very, very likely move into the mid $40,000 territory. Let me throw back on all the other major moving averages right here because I feel like I'm blind right now. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. And if we go over here to our momentum chart, we can see that as far as the, 12 hours obviously turning up right now, and will be remaining to the upside as long as we're about 32,200. But daily, more importantly, is going to have a chance to cross to the upside today as well, as long as we close above about 35,250-ish region. I believe all the lower time frames are already upside angled. Looking at the 4 hour, yes, indeed, although getting a little bit extended over there. 3 hour, same thing. Bi-hourly actually turning down right now. 37,100 is the magical number right there, and hourly is 37,350-ish region. I'm curious what the 2 and 3 days say. Yes, here is also a big one for me as well. Two-day Stokes turning up at the same time as I believe the 3 day as well. Yeah, no, it should have a chance, or is it going to be having a chance today? No, that actually happens tomorrow. So for Friday closure, that should be a little bit more of a topic of conversation, but not necessarily right now. Looking at the 5 day, this is also going to be looking potentially decent for today as well. Although we do need, wait, hold on, are we closing this one today? Oh no, this one's not even closing this week. so with all of that in mind, I do think that Bitcoin has some short and medium term upside here, very likely continuation, perhaps a little bit of a very short term time frame pullback. In fact, looking at the hourly right here, that looks rather obvious. Maybe Bitcoin back down to about $36,000. But ultimately now, as long as Bitcoin does hold structure here, which is pretty much right at that $36,000 pivot, I would be looking at this as very likely to do a little bit of a short term consolidation and then try again higher. So it depends what time frame you're looking at. Obviously, as always, technically speaking, we do have potential hidden bearish divergence in progress here as well. But I don't think that's going to amount to anything more than just a very short-term pullback. In fact, we might have already seen most of that move thus far. Perhaps a small stab down to about 36 even or so. I don't have a strong opinion on that, and realistically, an hourly is not what I'd be basing my decisions off of currently because, well, we're looking at like a major structure going on right here, and with this trap going on right here, I do think that that kind of supersedes everything else. I also want to harken back to this as well, as this also does kind of suggest that we could be looking at a potential trap on this price action as well. Let me just throw back. Yeah, okay, we need the red. No, we don't need the red. We need, yes, we need 200, we need 21, we need 200, we need 377. Yeah, so this is another reason why I do think it's relevant to be looking for a potential trap. By the way, just noticed, actually, Daily Jewel. Oh, shit. Show me the way, Mr. Mournfall. Show me the way, sir. Looking pretty damn good there. But ultimately, again, that does not mean that we won't see the same sort of signals that we did see spun upon by this particular signature. What I want you to look at right here is the relationship between all these major moving averages, namely the yellow 21, the purple 200 crossing to the downside right here, and then the blue 377 basing. Now watch the 200 simple govern, but that's not going to be relevant until we go back into history. All right, so let's find the last example that we had for this particular signal. Well, we don't have to go too far back. It actually happened right around here. The 21 crossed the downside of the 200. Bitcoin bases on the 377, very similar to what we're seeing, or what we just saw actually. Another sort of point in the trappy court right there, just barely below. And then what happens after that? Bitcoin rallies up on, this was actually a China news event. Find it funny how that works out sometimes. There's always a news event to justify a move, as fucking always. And what happens after that? Bitcoin base is a little bit above the 200 simple, and inevitably actually does come down and does make new lows. So to be fair, I don't think that we're out of the woods, full-heartedly just yet. Same thing over here as well, although a little bit lower to be fair. And then the time before that we actually saw a similar signature to this was way the fuck back on over here. This one a lot more similar to that first iteration and what we're doing right now as well, where we see the yellow 21 cross the downside of the purple 200. Bitcoin comes in bases on the blue 377, rallies up, puts in the trap right around the 200 simple, governed for the next year or so. And then I think we have one more example back on over here as well. Let's see. Yeah, it's right around here, actually. So yellow 21 crosses the downside of the purple 200. Bitcoin based on the blue 377 rallies up, bull trap at the 200 simple, and down for the next year or so. So I do still think that it's relevant to be, calling out a potential bull trap in this region right here. In fact, I do think that, again, Bitcoin could bull trap here and perhaps even just base around mid $30,000 region again. Remember, there's three major things that I'm looking for to denote like a macro low on Bitcoin. I want to see the hash ribbon's blue buy signal. I want to see at least a fucking higher low on the daily, which we do not have right now, by the way. And then I also want to see, I always forgot the third one, BBWP, which actually we pretty much have seen most of it. I just want to see this come a little bit lower, and it is trending down once again. But once we kind of come down to the 0 percentiles, that's when I do think that Bitcoin can actually put an explosive move very likely to the upside in this case, but it still remains to be seen, and it's still very far away. And as you can see right now, we're at about 34.5 percentile. I want to see it get down to like single digits, preferably. The lower the better in these cases. You can kind of think of it as like a spring winding itself up, and then the resolution of it is very likely to lead to explosive movement, and you best hope that comes to the upside. Otherwise, this thing's wrecked as fuck. but hey, at the end of the day, this channel, if you are new here, is more or less geared towards traders, and while we do accept creeds and strategies of all kind, understand that at the end of the day, we don't really care if it goes up or down. Although I do think Bitcoin's a cool idea. I think I think it has its place in this world, and I do think that I like it overall. It's just I also want to separate myself from like the fucking Kaisers of the world that basically think that this is going to solve every fucking issue. Look, man, Bitcoin is not going to suck your dick. It can buy a dick suck, but it cannot actually do it itself. So with that in mind, does Bitcoin fix everything? No, it does not. It's a pretty fucking cool thing, and it doesn't need to fix everything in order to be a very, very important and an impressive asset in the history of the world. Actually, I mean, this is this pretty damn cool stuff. I mean, in its most basic essence, what is Bitcoin? It's basically giving the individual person more sovereign and autonomous control over their finances. That's, in my opinion, always going to be a good thing. Having more control over your personal finances and more autonomous control, essentially, over your life. That's, in my opinion, the way forwards. And I do think that that's a relatively good thing. Now, we can also bring this over to traditional markets as well, of which strength in the broad market, I think, is carrying over to Bitcoin as well. We do see NASDAQ still kind of inching its way up. We did hit almost around our $14,000 target. I'm still, I suppose, bullish on this, even though it looks absolutely fucking insane. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not gonna call a trend reversal until we actually, at the very least, come back down below about 13,400-ish region and take out that higher low around the 21. And as it stands right now, I'll still be looking for this one to trade a little bit sideways within this range, and still upside resolution is implied from here. Monthly is powerful as all hell, and if we go over to SPY futures, I think it becomes even better. In fact, as we do see this one already. Already did we make new all-time? I think we just came about a few pennies shy. 42.36 and 3/4 versus 42.38 and 1/4. Pretty damn close right there, about a $1.50 away, but strength in the traditional markets very likely does carry on to Bitcoin. We do see strong correlations between these on the whole. And if we go look at Dixie as well, I'm curious how that one's holding up. By the way, I believe that we have, are they talking about interest rates today? I need to check my calendar. I actually did not follow up on that before this stream. I think that they are talking about interest rates relatively soon. I still do think that Dixie could very easily put in another anemic rally here. Long-term direction is very likely down. I mean, we are going to be closing a quarterly at the end of this month, and if it looks anything like this, kind of have to be bearish on that. And we're not just closing a quarterly, we're also closing a bi-yearly, and there's not much bullish about this chart right here. Unfortunately, there ain't much bullish about this chart right here. In fact, we're quite literally in the midst of confirming a reversal. We do have a high, we do have a low, we do have a lower high, and actually last quarterly did close on a lower low, so by definition we actually already do have a downtrend, which probably does benefit Bitcoin a little bit as well. Then again, you got to be wondering, if the dollar really starts to collapse back down to mid to low 80s, what does that mean, man? I don't know, maybe another war, which I'm not a humongous fan of. So hopefully this comes peacefully. Hopefully this does come indeed peacefully. But I suppose that would be another sort of point potentially in the Bulaw's case, especially coming into the end of this month right here. So if we go back down to the daily, again, I do think that it's possible we see maybe another try somewhere around like mid 90, maybe even all the way up to 91. It looks like we just got rejected from there before, so perhaps not that far, but it does look like it wants another short-term rally, and then, well, decision time probably around the end of this month, leading into the rest of this year, which that's gonna, well, I imagine, help out most things that trade against the dollar. So fair enough on that one as well. And do we have anything else that we want to talk about before we get into the comments themselves? I feel like I'm missing something. I do feel like I'm missing something here, but I'm sure that it'll come up at some point. So perhaps I'll just leave it right there. Maybe we go look at some of the strong altcoins for the last few days. Or no. Maybe it was something on CME. What am I looking at on CME over here? CME also has the same sort of bullish evidence come off the prior low. TSI turning up. Yep, I like all these signals. Again, I think Bitcoin's going to $40,000 relatively soon, and then very likely a short-term pullback from there, and then pops up somewhere in like the mid, maybe even upper $40,000 territory. We're probably going to close this month, June, above $40,000, but below about 48, or I think it's about $48,000. And then we get to start to follow up on all those signals that we spoke about earlier, which could potentially suggest that we actually do have a macro low in, and that 33,000 bucks will be the ultimate low. Again, Bitcoin very likely does come back down from there, but that will be the next sort of potential long-term buy for myself. Not that this is financial advice, nor am I a financial advisor, but I am happy to share what I'd be doing in those more long-term situations, as I do imagine that most people are probably on the same vein as that. I think actually most people tuning into this content probably are not, short-term day traders, probably more like long-term hodlers, which fair enough. Again, you are welcome here, of course, but this is like one of the few times where I actually would consider a position like that. Again, I don't think that there's a major rush into it right now, and it's going to make you very, 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 very likely feel like you need to FOMO in when Bitcoin goes into the mid $40,000 territory. Everyone's going to be talking about 50,000 bucks again. Perhaps we even hit around 50,000 bucks, of which that gap is coming in right around 48.5, which is rather telling, in fact. But ultimately, the next move down would be potentially that long-term buy that I'm looking for. And does that happen this month, next month, the month after that? There's no way to fucking know that. I would imagine looking at just looking at the general time of it, probably maybe at like earliest July, probably August or September, if I had to guess. Again, we'll be able to define that once we come closer and closer to that time. We need to get through fucking June first. We're making a lot of assumptions at this point, and while things are fun, I do want to remind myself, and perhaps remind you out there as well, that look, while we just had a trap to the downside right here, I do still think that it's rather likely that we have a trap over here. The key indication, or the key message that I want to have right now, is depending upon the way that some of those things that we were looking at earlier, that next trap could just be coming back down to the mid $30,000 territory, which would be the next like major macro low. Or if we do not get those signals that we highlighted earlier, then Bitcoin very likely does come back down and break 30,000 bucks, and we do see lower lows. I mean, that has actually been the majority of those iterations in the past. So what else do we want to talk about before we get out of here? I think that is pretty much it from myself. Maybe the 12-hour had something. 12-hour also has 1, 2, 3 drives of bullish evidence. 12-hour Jewel turning up as well. 12-hour TSI, same thing, but you can imagine that's going to be true, especially seeing as we already saw the same thing on all the other higher term timeframes. So it's just a little bit of wrapping that up. Buy daily, again, same thing over here. Bullish divergence, natural target is going to be about 42,000 bucks. So that would obviously take us above the range highs. And at that point, I do initiate targets into the mid and potentially even deeper $40,000 territory. 3-day, do we have the same thing as well? No, actually, or do we? No, we do not. But fuck that time frame. It doesn't say what I want it to say. Fuck that time frame. And 5 days, a little bit too long form right now as well. So I think it's time to get on over into the chats, and let's see what we got on over here. Let's see. Elsa's got him today. Okay, sweet. All right. There he is, Mr. Shahar. Appreciate that, my friend. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. God damn it, man. It always feels weird saying something like that. Again, subscribe if you want to subscribe. Like if you want to subscribe. Or sorry, like if you want to like it. Elsa says smash it, but she also has like little knives for fingers, so be careful with her. Anyways, hey, what's up, Josh? I saw the carnage you created on Shiv 2. Oh my lord, man, I was having a great time yesterday. Yeah, I'm gonna be back on today. Twitch streams are back as long as Chivalry 2 is up and running. I can log into the servers, man. That was some good fun, man. And actually, we saw the trap like happen exactly on that stream as well, which is lovely. Absolutely lovely. Hey, what's up, Abbott? Or Mr. Abbott? Hope all is well as well, sir. Sir, traded the bull trap, nice. Then traded the bear trap, also nice. Then traded the larger bear trap, nice. Fucking well done, man. That's awesome, dude. Again, major shout out, because if you can identify those situations, that is a really powerful thing in trading, because that's where typically a lot of people get trapped up on. You probably saw a lot of people, as did I, over the past 2-3 weeks now, saying Bitcoin's definitely going down to 20,000 bucks. Bitcoin's definitely going down to 25,000 bucks. Look, I mean, that's still a possibility, obviously, as is anything, but was it the most likely thing to happen, all things considered, looking at all the indicators that we were looking at, especially the volatility and momentum indicators? No, it was more likely, even if you're the biggest bear of all time, to bounce first, and then if it wants to move to the downside, it moves to the downside. But look, when you have open interest that low, you just don't have the rocket fuel liquidity for a move that would break macro structure. And I feel like that's another thing that I get misheard on a lot, but when you're looking at macro structure, you need to be incorporating that with a lot of other things as well. And in that case, I think that was a pretty damn clear indication. So I feel quite vindicated for that. All the fucking Krown hate comments finally vindicated and all good. Or maybe it's a bit of hubris right now, and I'll be paying a little bit later. Oh well, fair enough. I'll enjoy the day as it is for now. Bots for the win says 3 drives of bullish evidence on the 2-day chart. Do we have that? I don't believe that that's true. let's see. So you're going to consider this one drive as well. Technically not. I would say technically not, because this is technically not a confirmed low. This is, and this is, but this would actually not be, because it's just, you know, one down. You don't really have like a high in between there, and you can't really have like, you can't have a low and then no high and then a lower low. You need to see some sort of a high in between there. But I would say that, you know, you certainly have two drives, and I'm splitting hairs here. Look, this is very likely to trade up from this region after a short-term pullback. Very, very likely to trade up. So it you know, again, we're splitting hairs, but if you want to go by the book, technically not. Does it end up working out that way? Look, I mean, you already got two drives anyways, and it's a rather powerful time frame, so I'd put it, you know, I'd put some weight on it regardless of that. Yeah, in mid 40,000s is essentially the same target anyway, so it's like, you know, I'm just being that fucking guy, like, excuse me, actually it's not, but at the end of the day, it plays the same, essentially. But sir, the moon phases, says Sam Fragosi. Yeah, man, you know, it's actually funny. If we go back to these goddamn astrology bullshit phases, we actually do have a new moon coming in, I think today or sometime this week. And technically that would be the bad one. And seeing as this does have an 80% probability to actually work out in that direction, this is a little bit concerning. Then again, perhaps it does come, perhaps it does come a little bit later in this, you know, the actual moves comes a little bit later in this month. Who the fuck knows how this works out? But yeah, I guess that is a good counterpoint to what I'm saying as well. Perhaps that could work into a bit of a trappy trap. Definitely possible, but I also feel a little bit silly looking at something like that. But goddamn, man, it's like I keep keeping myself honest about that, because it's like on one point I really want to push back on something like that. It's like, look, this is fucking bullshit. Astrology is garbage. What the fuck am I doing? This is ridiculous. I must be the biggest moron of all time even to look at this. And then you look at the results and it's like, okay, well, if 16 out of 20 iterations have worked out for like a decent move, you know, we're talking about 10% plus moves. Maybe I'm an idiot for not looking at it. Who the hell knows, man? There is that good old JP Morgan quote that millionaires don't use astrology, but billionaires do, or something like that. I don't know anything about that, man. I don't really know too many billionaires, to be quite honest with you. I did meet Jamie Dimon once. Jamie Dimon once, though. He used to go to my gym, East Bank Club in Chicago, and I actually didn't even know it was him at the time that I spoke with him. It's actually really, really nice and cool. It's actually kind of funny. I didn't find out until later that it's actually him. Scott Carney. Oh, there he is, Scott Carney. What's up, man? SNDL bull flag forming on daily. Can it hit 250? Let's see. SNDL. Sundial growers. Okay, it sounds like a weed stock. And you're looking at bull flag forming on the daily. Okay, let's go to a daily. Is this a bull flag? Not really, no, but it is an uptrend. And is the target going to be 250, as you said? I mean, that's basically the high of this. Well, it's basically right around here. Look, I do think that you're looking at a reversal here on the daily at the very least. Volume signature is suggestive that, yeah, I would play this one to the upside. Would I be looking at 250? I'd be looking at like 210, 225 for the next, for like the next major move. But short term would be more like 150. So it depends what time frame you're looking at. I'm on a weekly right there. You're on a daily. Daily is probably sideways and up here, though. I don't think this one's like moving just yet. In fact, short term, it probably comes down, maybe even back down below a buck short term. But overall, I would be looking for further upside. And I'd be a little bit more muted on my targets, I suppose. I'm curious what the monthly looks like on something like this, though. Yeah, monthly doesn't really have enough information, so I think I'll just kind of sidestep that one. Generally speaking, though, if you're looking at the daily, I do think that it will happen over time, but short term, very likely sideways, maybe back down to a buck, and then tries again to the upside, maybe over the next like month or two. Anyways, what else do we got? Wait, what is this? Cruxy. How are you doing, Cruxy? Bitcoin is a pretty cool guy. Bitcoin is a pretty cool guy and doesn't afraid of anyone. That's what I like to hear. Enjoy your take too, Cruxy. Bitcoin is a pretty cool guy and doesn't afraid of no one. I like it. King Cosmic, what's up, man? Spy please, 1 in 4 hour price prediction with CPI data. I can't predict the CPI data, man. That's you know what I do in these sorts of situations where you got fundamental data coming out. I don't trade. I would just put my my system on maintenance mode and not even quote. But if you're looking at this over here, and if you just want like the straight TA on this one, what I say about this one, I mean, technically speaking, it is putting a bit of a consolidation at a high level here, but I do think it's a little more likely short term to come to the downside, probably like 42.10 region. But again, when you have data like that coming out, I actually find that it's better to not trade unless you have insider information on that data, because other people will, and you very likely do not. And realistically, technical analysis as an edge very likely does lose a bit of its efficacy during those times. At least that's my experience of it. If I did have to call it right now, though, I would be looking for this one to come back down to about 42.10 short term. Hey, what's up, Hoji42? Good morning, Krown. My wife's menstrual period ended, and she said Bitcoin was dead. I bought the double signal. I like it, man. Fucking blood moon and also period moon. Just wreck it up, baby. We're going back. Oh, my God. Hey, what's up, Josh? Elsa says, what the fuck? Please, vet USD, 4-hour and 8-hour. Also, how do you think the CPI release later today affects Bitcoin? Okay, so how does it affect Bitcoin? Well, obviously... Okay, we need to make assumptions with like what the actual data is going to be, and that's makes it very difficult. I'm happy to look at vet USDT. We can talk about that in a second. I do feel though that this can be, what I'm going to say could be potentially misleading, because we're going to make so many assumptions with something like that I really don't want to be misheard on something like that. You got a clear and obvious trading range going on right here. Lows out at about 97 cent, highs out at about 14 cent. But I'm sure that you already know that, Mr. Josh. Overall, I imagine that, Bitcoin does take a leg up here. You probably do see VET do the same thing. Problem is, 4 hours still in a downtrend, actually, and kind of looking like shit, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of this chart, actually, all things considered. Look, does this thing come down short term and maybe try for a higher low somewhere around like 11.5 cent or so? Perhaps yes, but I do respect the trend in this case. And if Bitcoin pulls back here, I mean, it would not be out of character to see this thing come back down to like 11 or 10 cent, to be honest with you, man. This one does not look as strong as a lot of the other better actors in this market right now, all things considered. Yeah, monthly is still kind of questionable, I'd say, as well. So you're looking at a 4 and 8 hour, right? Well, if we're just looking at a 4 hour, that becomes a lot easier. I would be looking at this as likely to come back down. I imagine there's probably also divergence on the other side too. And there's actually not. No, there is not. Let's see. What's the lowest time frame that we could maybe potentially find something like that to generate a target based off that? Yeah, Byerly has it. Byerly target's probably going to be somewhere around like 11 and a quarter or so. Sorry, maybe that's more like 11 and a quarter to 11 and a half or so. Other than that, I don't have a strong opinion on it, Josh. The reason why is because I do feel like this one is on the weaker side. And if Bitcoin does put in a short-term pullback here to, let's say, like $36,000, this one can easily pull back down to, like 11 cent even, or even like 10 and 3/4 there. Problem is, though, is that I think it's just easier to watch Bitcoin in this case. So if you're looking at Bitcoin over here, here's what I'd say, Josh. Like, look, as long as Bitcoin remains above about $36,000 pivot, I would play that one, generally speaking, sideways and up. I think it's going to be a bit of a laggard, as are most altcoins. However, if Bitcoin starts to break this level right here, well, Bitcoin probably comes back down, 34,000, 34,500-ish region. And at that point, you got to be looking at some like VET to probably, retrace the majority of that rally there, seeing as it's already acting a little bit on the weaker side. A little bit of a difficult chart here, to be honest with you, mostly because we don't see things following the same sort of strength that Bitcoin did in the past day. And we typically only see those situations when strong trending moves are about to, happen. And in this case right here, if that's going to, I do think that it probably happens to the upside, but if it were to happen to the downside, this thing's going to get absolutely crushed. But ultimately, my general disposition on this thing, man, if you just want like my general ideology on this one, probably sideways and up, if I had to guess, probably sideways and up, assuming that Bitcoin just doesn't shit the bed below about $36,000, which I don't think that it will here. So while this chart is a little bit deceiving and a little bit more difficult on the short-term timeframes, in fact, everything on short-term timeframes over here does suggest lower. I do think that strength in Bitcoin does essentially pour on over to this, and you probably see sideways and up, maybe between about 10.5, 11 cents or so. And then pray for Bitcoin, pray for Bitcoin essentially. Anyways, hopefully that was helpful. Anyways, as far as the CPI release later today, okay. So, oh man, all right. Let me see what the expected thing is. What is expected for a CPI? Let's see. Okay. Do we have one? Is this for today? Yeah, this is for today. Okay, the consensus forecast for the core consumer price index, which excludes food and energy, is 3.5% on a year-over-year basis, according to Dow Jones. Okay, interesting. So it always depends on what the expectation is. If it comes above the expectation, the only thing that matters is the expectation and the real number. If the expectation is worse than what the real number comes out to be, then, well, typically speaking, probably going to be bullish, and vice versa for the opposite side. It really matters a lot less what the actual number is. It needs to be in relationship to the forecast, which is about 3.5%. So keep that number in mind when that comes out. Well, well, there's no guessing in between, to be honest with you, and that's not necessarily my game, so I'm probably not the best person to ask anyways. But if I was going to play it in that way, or at least in the way that I do typically see it played, like that's what matters most: expectation versus reality, and then whatever the reality is in relationship to that, whether it's better or worse, that's the way that price action typically does initially react. Go Lucky says, love you, bro. Saved my ass yesterday. Happy to save your ass, sir. Appreciate that, man. Keep your asses safe, sirs. Keep your asses safe. Winning Choice 87 says, hey, Krown, can we check out car dealership on the 4 and daily, please? Yes, we can go over here to the Wendy's car dealership. And where's my car down here? There it is. All right, so you're looking at 4 and what was it, daily? It is daily, yes. Okay, so Cardano, another one of the better actors here. Again, certainly not looking too hot on the short-term timeframes. In fact, also in danger of getting a death cross right there too. I'd be saying mostly the same thing about this as I did on VET. Look, this one was one of the better actors, all things considered, for the last like 6-7 months. Same thing as VET. But right now, if we're looking at short-term timeframes, if I'm giving you my straight opinion on the 4-hour, that is not the picture of strength, to be quite honest. However, again, as long as Bitcoin holds $36,000, I imagine you probably do see this thing move back up towards about $1.75 or so. I don't hate this chart overall. It's still one of the better charts in cryptocurrency land. We do have hidden bullish evidence come off that last low, and I do suspect that probably the higher term time frame is going to be more conclusive in this regard, and probably does move back up towards about $1.75. Let's see how the weekly looks in this case. Yeah, I'm not bearish on this weekly at all. I'm not bearish on the monthly at all either. In fact, the monthly was just a backfill and back up. Similar to Bitcoin though, but Bitcoin was on the quarterly for the backfill. And in fact, this is also something that we've been looking at, but not enough recently. Where typically speaking, I mean, it's very unlikely to break it on the first pass. It's very likely to bounce it. And in this case, if we are going to break down, it probably it's very unlikely to happen in June. It's very likely that if it is going to happen, it would happen, in July, in the 3 months after June, which I think is July, August, and September, if I have that properly. But yeah, man, that's what I'd be saying about that on Cardano. Again, it's just easier to watch Bitcoin in this case, and assuming that Bitcoin just doesn't essentially shit the bed below $36,000, which I don't believe that it will, then I'd be looking for this one to pop back up 175, and then you got your next big pivot right around here. Your next big pivot would be right around about 185 on a daily closing basis. If we're looking at a short-term time frame, it'd actually be the same thing as well on a 4-hour. So we could even move it down a little bit on a 4-hour, I'd say. Anywhere above this region right here at about $1.78. I'd be looking for this one to make new highs amongst this range, which would imply a move very likely back above about $2 to like 211 to 2.25 perhaps. So I still give this one the benefit of the doubt. Technically speaking, do you have some sort of like a reaccumulation formation going on here? I suppose you could say that. Something like this, an ascending triangle. So you could make a measure move on this. But again, we're making a lot of assumptions now. And if we were to make a measure move on this, where would it be? Yeah, it'd be around 220-ish region. So anywhere between about 210 and 220 is what I'd be looking for on a resolution above this area right here. But short term actually, I mean, if I'm being honest with you, man, 4-hour looks like shit. At least short term. I mean, we even have hidden bearish divergence about to populate itself with any sort of a close here or lower. But with 2 hours left to go on this one, does it actually happen? Buy hourly says it happens. Buy hourly's rolling on over here. Not good. All right. Let's see. Darren Garish says, explain the jewel on the daily Bitcoin USD. Explain it. Explain. A weird way to posit a question. Explain the daily on the jewel. Explain the jewel on the daily, you mean. We're switching around into a bullish posture right now. It's not necessarily a signal in and of itself, but when you see the faster trading above with a positive slope above the middle and also the lowest, the slowest, or actually, that's typically when you do start to switch around on your overall trend. And in this case, I'm trying to find another example of this. Yeah, this would be it over here. And guess where this was? That was October 2019. And I remember that was exactly this right here, which was actually also a bull trap, ultimately speaking. So I am still a bit concerned of that. Did we see one in coronavirus sometimes? No, we did not. We did see one. Yep, that was it. Did we have another one prior to that where we had a similar situation? Yeah, right around here about, and that actually was the last macro low. So it's definitely a potential. I would want to see today's daily total closure, but assuming that we get positive slopes on all three of these in this region right here, that'd be another good, at the very least, major bottoming signal, perhaps macro bottoming signal. Sir, are you okay over there? Explain the jewel of Russia. That's a good question, man. That's a good question.
There goes crazy.
Oh, nice one. All right, sweet. Let's see. Bitfin. Hey, what's up, Bitfin? It's been a while, man. Good day, sir. Can you tell this biotech to bring my chicken tendies? And can we look at Hex versus Bitcoin on the weekly and daily? You and Richard Hart have helped make crypto fun again. I'm glad to hear that, man. I actually haven't. I guess Richard Hart is still rocking and rolling. Unfortunately, it looks like we cannot chart Hex versus Bitcoin. We can certainly look at it versus US dollar over here. And I imagine it's still actually... I think this is the second best chart in cryptocurrency right now. I think there's one that was making new all-time highs yesterday. I forget what the name was. But this one's following its footsteps, and I'd still be sticking with about an 8.5 cent target. Looks pretty damn good here. In fact, we already hit about 7.5 on yesterday. This one's breaking out right here. Again, you know, regardless of your thoughts on the underlying technology in this one, the chart is, well, the chart is as it is, and the chart is very fucking good here. This one's breaking out right now, man. Continuation at 8.5 cent or so, maybe even more over time. Looking very good. Sweet. Can I explain the crown jewels? Would you like to see my ball sack, sir? You like the nuts? Hey, what's up, TN? Mitch Ray said on his stream today, if you wanted to collaborate on a video, to send him a DM. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'll probably hit him up then. That's awesome to hear. It'll be a little bit different. I think like the only thing that could get in the way is I'm definitely down, but the only thing that could get in the way in the foreseable future is just the fact that we operate on such different time frames. You know, I live in Finland, and I imagine he lives in America, based off his beautiful southern accent. But yeah, man, I'll send him a DM. Let's see. Bitcoin for all says, take a look at T. Oh, you're talking about AT&T. Okay. Wait, is that? Yeah, that is the symbol. That is the ticker. Okay. AT&T. And you're looking at long term. Is that right? You're looking at long term. Okay. So for me on traditional markets, that's going to be a weekly and a monthly. Absolute shit chart right here. Absolute dog shit chart. Ultimately, I'd be looking for this one to trade back down towards $27.50 base over time. I mean, the monthly says that we might even go low over time. It's pretty bad. Looking at the monthly right here, I mean, you might be looking at this as maybe accumulation. So maybe you get maybe $27.50 is a major opportunity. But the second that you break below there, or at least this last macro low, which was at basically 27.5, there's no excuse for this one. This one's going to crumble all the way back down to like low 20s. But for now, I guess you give it the benefit of the doubt. But this price action right here is not the most compelling. Short term, as far as the monthly goes, I'd be looking for down. Maybe you give it a chance to bottom out somewhere around like low 27.5, but anywhere below there, that's like the line in the sand for me. I suppose until that happens, you can still look at this as reaccumulation though. And maybe that's like the next macro opportunity, as this would be literally like a 20-year long accumulation thus far. I mean, almost around there. It goes back to about 02, 03, it looks like. So quite the thing. Definitely going to take a long time. So probably not even happening in my lifetime, man. Getting old, getting real old. I already got white hairs all over myself. All right, let's see. Haha, trolled you with the V-neck on the day. Oh, god damn it, Zach. You fucking bastard. How dare you? Shahar says, I'm lost. Is it a bull or bear trap right now? Well, the bear trap happened yesterday. Is it a bull trap? A bull trap I wouldn't be looking for a bull trap here. I'd be looking for a bull trap up here. So if you're asking about exactly at this moment, right now is a trending move after a bear trap is what I'd be saying. So hopefully that is clear. Yeah, man, maybe you're not the only person to ask me about that, because maybe I haven't been too damn clear about what I've been thinking here, but I hope that for most people who've been listening to this, like, it's been pretty damn clear. Bitcoin, very likely bear traps in the mid to low $30,000, then very likely bull traps in the mid to upper $40,000 territory. Which we just saw the bear trap right there. So hopefully that's as clear as can be. What's up, Abbott? Everyone bearish when my customers are afraid while I'm pouring them coffee. It's time to buy it. There you go, baby. There you go. Sounds like you have a bit of an insight there too. Chess Champion 94 says WTC USD. This is oil, I believe, or some sort of oil company. Do I have that right? WTC USD. Oh no, this is Walton Chain. Oh my lord. Not this piece of shit, man. Walton Chain. Very bullish chart. Very shit gonna chart. Oh my god, man. Yeah, so while everything else in their mother from 2017 and beyond was rallying to the moon and making new all-time highs, this thing couldn't even put in a weekly uptrend. Absolute dog shit, man. Absolute dog shit. But no, Krown is manipulating my Walton Chain. Fuck you, Krown. Fuck you, and you will not be accumulating my Walton Chain. I will buy. Hi. Still looks like shit. 15-minute time frame though. All right.
It is a good on the 15-minute. No, it is not. Looks like shit, sir.
Looks like shit, man. Well, it's probably going to bounce here, man. I don't know about the 15-minute, but the 4-hour, look, man, if it's going to play with Bitcoin, it probably does trade back up towards like, I don't know, a buck or so. But this would be a chart that I would never, ever, ever consider touching with a 10-foot pole. Wow. You found maybe one of the, not one of the only, but definitely one of the worst offenders thus far today. Wow, pretty bad. Even as hidden bearish divergence on the monthly. That's really healthy. That's really good. Timothy Olfrey. Hey, what's up, Tim Olfrey? Kostas. Bitcoin can't suck your dick, but it can pay for it. That's right. One of the few things that my father taught me when I was young. I was 12 years old when he taught me this. He said, Eric, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a shit ton of sex. And that's how I was raised. Mario says MVDA, daily monthly bro. Thanks, bro. All right, bro. Let's see. What was it again? NVIDIA. Okay, NVIDIA. NVDA. Okay, let's see. Hopefully my dad's listening to this too right now, although it's probably a little bit late. Let's see. NVIDIA on the weekly, still good as all hell. Probably one of the best charts that we've seen today. In fact, this one only goes up, baby. Only goes up. Yeah. I'd still be bullish on this one, man. I think that we looked at this maybe last week or something, and it was continuation, and I'd be basically saying the same thing today as well. Something like this. Let's see what the range says, or it looks like I already kind of plotted targets here. Yeah, so we're getting our first kind of pushback off of the 414, probably plays between there and the 272. In fact, we've almost already gotten down there to about 678 or so, 679. Ultimately, long term, I do think that this one will trade higher, somewhere around 750, maybe even as high as $800, and then consolidates again and come back to it after that. But weekly TSI turning up, weekly RSI very healthy, all of them to just continuation over a long period of time. But what time frame were you looking at there, sir? Oh, you're looking at a monthly, so you are long term. Yep, up and away, sir. Looks good, man. Looks very good. Not again. Appreciate that, man. But feel free to like have a message as well. PD Trader says, "Yo, Krown, sup, sir? How you doing, Mr. PD Trader? XRP USDT 4-hour looking like a downtrend. 24-hour thoughts. I mean, for most of these cryptos versus US dollar, they're going to trade with Bitcoin, but just not as strong versus just not as strong as Bitcoin versus US dollar." Now again, this one, if I'm just looking at the 4-hour, yeah, it looks like absolute dog shit. I mean, it's it's a 4-hour lower high. We have hidden bearish divergence right here. Probably looking at a target back down to like 85, 86 cent. But I'm inclined to say that as long as Bitcoin holds above $36,000, it's going to be difficult to get a lot of things in this market down. So I'd keep an eye on Bitcoin. Now, if Bitcoin does break $36,000, you can be looking for this one to come back down to the lows of, I guess this maybe was the weekend, a couple days ago. Yeah, back down to like 80 cents or so. But I'm inclined to say this one's very likely to trade with Bitcoin, and probably, assuming that Bitcoin does move up from about 36, this one probably does the same thing as well. Now, what are the time frame are you looking at? Okay, yeah, you're looking at a 4-hour and a daily. I mean, you're right. It is a downtrend on pretty much all time. Well, it's actually not a downtrend on a daily. We do have a higher low in place right here, but 4-hour is certainly a downtrend. I'm inclined to say that it probably is going to trade with Bitcoin, though, and I'm still, short-term, medium-term upside on Bitcoin after maybe a very short-term time frame pullback to, we might have already even gotten it, maybe a little bit lower than we're at right now. Yeah, probably a little bit lower. Still somewhere around like low $36,000. As long as that does hold, though, I'll be looking for pretty much everything to put in something resembling a higher low on those lower term timeframes, and then try to the upside around the range highs for XRP. I think that'd be like around a buck or so if I remember properly. Yeah, around a buck or so. So again, easier to watch Bitcoin, but hold your breath if that Bitcoin doesn't break below 36, man. Shadow Fox says, Link's turn to finally shine again with Bitcoin move up. Bull trap area of interest. Let's see. What is Link doing while Bitcoin is showing a little bit of life? Yeah, this is really uncharacteristic for the last few years on Link. I mean, Link actually does have a downtrend on the daily as well. Not one of the better actors for sure the last couple of months here. 4-hour, again, same thing as XRP, you know, hidden bearish divergence right there. It's a downtrend. Technically speaking, I should be looking at a target back down to like 23 or 23 and a half. But it really in my opinion, it really matters what Bitcoin does here. As long as Bitcoin does not shit the bed below 36, I imagine this one probably holds somewhere around, you know, 24 bucks, and then gives another try to the upside. Natural target's gonna be around $29. Where's your bull trap target? I think it'd just be easier to watch, again, Bitcoin on this, because whatever Bitcoin does, altcoins are gonna mirror for the most part. And seeing as altcoins are not following Bitcoin as much, in this case, it's gonna make it a little more difficult, and it should be a lot more obvious on Bitcoin anyways. So it's more like set the areas on Bitcoin and then correlate that with whatever that ends up being on the altcoin if and when it does get there. That's the way that I trade it, not just trading an altcoin on its own, because they don't really seem to have identities of their own, at least for the majority of them right now. There's a few of them, yes. Funnily enough, Hex would be one of them. I think that there is one from yesterday that was actually rallying up to new all-time highs as well. That would certainly be another one, but this one is not one right now. For all of the praise that I've given Link in the past for having, you know, a just generally upside chart, it is, you know, it's not acting that way any longer. So we do have to change around our opinions on that as of the last month and a half or so. But I'd give it a chance here again. I'd give it a chance. Mostly just due to Bitcoin, but if we're looking at the 12 or if we're looking at the 4-hour, all lower term timeframes are bearish on this one. So it's really up to Bitcoin in this case, in my opinion, in order to give the market a little bit more life. Abbott says, do you have any tips on positive reinforcement? What is this?
Someone says you need a hat.
I got a bucket hat. Let me take a sippy sip over here, and then we'll get into this question, because this one seems deep, sir. Okay, good for another 5 minutes there. Okay, this feels wrong, sir.
No.
This feels wrong. All right, Abbott says, do you have any tips on positive reinforcement? Say, after a great run of success, how do you like to reward yourself in a constructive manner? Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a really good question, man. So this is one of the things that I actually learned from Tony Robbins, funnily enough. One of his sort of ideologies, and you know, look, I understand that there's a lot of animosity around that guy, don't get me wrong, but if you just read his fucking book, which costs like 20 bucks, I mean, anyone can afford that shit. It was actually chock full of a lot of very useful things I found. And one of them was, whenever you do something that is basically in line with achieving whatever your self-defined goals are, it is a very good idea to essentially reward yourself. So you're on the right track with that. Now, if you're asking how I reward myself by playing video games. I reward myself by taking a little bit of a, like a relaxing walk outside. Like, I actually truly enjoy that kind of stuff. I know it's a little bit weird. And when I was younger, I'd probably not be the same way. I'd probably say like, well, I want to go out and like have a long night of drinking and other party enhancing drugs. But I don't really feel that way anymore. So it will naturally be, different for you perhaps. But just something that, is maybe more of a relaxing sort of reset for yourself to get you prepared for the next sort of goal being met. And that sort of positive reinforcement works in a couple different ways, because when you reinforce yourself for doing something that is, well, in line with your goals, you essentially create a sort of culture within your own environment that essentially promotes that, which is good, which is what you want to do. You want to facilitate getting towards your own goals. So for some people, or just for anyone, I mean, that can come up in multiple different ways, but that's how to kind of express that in that exactive manner. The thing that I'd say though is that you included a very specific point about that. How do you reward yourself in a constructive manner? So that's why I decided to and amongst many other reasons as well, move away from stuff that, if I reward myself with, it actually takes me away from what's called achieving future goals or achieving whatever the goal that I'm looking to go towards. So for myself, that means I want to make sure that, I'm not losing out on sleep. I'm not like ruining my fucking brain. I'm not doing something that I might regret or take me further away from my goals. Ideally, you want the reward to be regenerative. That would be the underlying theme that I'd say. You want that reward to be regenerative. That will allow you to kind of recharge your batteries and then continue on with, achieving whatever goals that you've set yourself out for. So for myself, man, like that definitely rules out a lot of things. And ideally, you'll get to a point in life, if you're not already there, which you probably are. It sounds like you have your own business. Sounds like you're pretty well established and everything. So you probably already know this, but for other people here, especially for younger people, I think this is a little more important. At some point in your life, you'll make the switch where you stop doing things that you think that you're supposed to do that are supposed to be fun, and you'll start to go towards things that you actually want to do. So, I know that in Western culture, for example, which is what I grew up in California and lived in Chicago and Oregon and all that good stuff, you're kind of taught that the epitome of fucking existence is to go to college and have fun and party it up every goddamn weekend, go to the club, drink bottles, get a table and all that good stuff. And I do think that you should do that. I actually do think strongly that everyone should have those experiences, go travel the world, go be, whatever you think is supposed to be fun. And what you'll naturally realize over time is that your idea of fun is going to change, because you'll see that, one, that sort of idea is probably not something that you even thought of to begin with. Two, you have to fucking poison yourself in order to really enjoy for the most part as well. And then three, it actually naturally takes you away from things that you probably want to actually want to do. And you're really not going to know what you actually want to do or what your true goals are until you've spent some time alone with yourself, or maybe not even alone with yourself, but in a completely different environment. This is why I think traveling, especially while you're younger, is so damn important. I spent my early 20s traveling around Europe, being poor as fuck. And it was actually a really, really good experience, because when you're in a new environment with no one else that you have no sort of anchors from your past, and you essentially have to kind of reinvent yourself in a way, and you have to and through that reinvention, you will naturally find out more about who you are. And when you're kind of locked in your own environment, you have your whole community and whatnot that are kind of keeping you in place like a spider's web, essentially. And that can be good, assuming that you have a good community around you, but you also want to get to know yourself better as well, so that you know what your actual true goals are, which will make it easier then in order in the future to turn down things that are maybe not in line with that. So naturally nowadays, I look at going out at night, going to a club at night, I look at that as a punishment, it's not that bad, obviously, it's still fun, don't get me wrong. It's fun to get drunk, but it takes me away from my goals. So it becomes more frustrating than anything else. And I just value what I'm trying to do over what I think most people think you're supposed to do. Most people think that when you get I don't know, wealth or whatever, you're supposed to go live on a beach and fucking party every day. Look, I've done that too, man. It's fun for a week or two, and then after that, man, it gets boring, and you start to get a little bit flat emotionally, or maybe even in some cases depressed, because you're not doing anything. And we as humans, we need to do something. We have to have something that we're working towards. And I imagine that that's probably what a lot of people fall into depression from, is that they're not working towards something that they actually want to do. They're working towards something that they're either told they want to do, or that they haven't even thought about before anyways, because they've never spent some time alone with themselves. And for that reason, I would say, I'm really fucking off track on this question, but for that reason, I'd say when you're rewarding yourself, you want to make sure that it's regenerative so that you can get closer to what you actually want to do, and then make sure that what you actually want to do, your goals, whatever it is, are something that you personally have decided on, not something that is influenced by the outside environment as much as possible, so that you can, hopefully continue on with that path. All right, I just completely destroyed that question. Sorry about that, man. I think I got way off track there, but apologies. Anyways, Nero Strutton says, bruh, can we look at Dash USD daily? Okay, Dash USD. Dash USD. Dash. I haven't heard Dash called out in since 2018. Let's see how this piece of shit's doing still. Oh, another 2017 shitcoin that still can't buy a goddamn rally. Shitcoin police inbound, and they're taking them back to shitcoin jail. Look, man, if Bitcoin moves up here, this one probably will as well. Probably moves back up to 190 or 195 or so, but it's definitely weak. It's certainly not the one that I want to be in. The daily looks like just a steaming pile of shit. But look, if Bitcoin moves up here, you'll find this one back around, actually more like $200, not 190, but $200. And I do think that that's what's happening here, to be honest with you. But this is not the one that I want to be in long term. Look, man, anything that was from prior to 2017, 2018 that did not make new highs in this past run is not something that I would want to be associated with that, by any stretch of the imagination. And here's the thing: it's going to follow whatever way that Bitcoin chooses, anyways. But it's just not going to follow as much to the upside, and to the downside it'll lead it'll essentially lead in that direction. So I'd be very, very careful with that. All right, sweet. Jack Assiman says, good morning, Krown. Hey, what's up, man? Ethereum, Bitcoin, daily, weekly. Yeah, this is actually a really good one to be bringing up right here, too. Kind of look at this almost as if it was an altcoin index. And looking at the daily, it's in breakdown mode right now. I'd be looking for this one to come down and try for a low somewhere in like the mid 6 million Satoshis region. Here's the thing, though. I'm actually not necessarily long-term bearish on it. Long-term, I'm still very much bullish on it. There's nothing bearish about this chart right here. But with the strength in this chart of the last few months, this one can have a pullback down to basically where I just said, 6.5 million Satoshis and still be long-term fine. Looking at the quarterly as well, yeah, pretty damn good. Again, there's nothing bearish about this chart long-term. This one extremely likely moves to the upside long-term, but and even the weekly is just to backfill at 6.5 million Satoshis as well. So I do think it has some downside here, yes, but ultimately I'd also want to be on record as saying that I do think that will be something resembling a low somewhere around here and then follows to the upside overall. There's nothing bearish about this chart as long as you're especially above about 6 million Satoshis. We'll say, I'd even say next move probably comes down to about 6.5 and then get some more upside or at least get another try towards the upside long term. I also want to see BBWP trend all the way to the downside here. We're in a major consolidation. Ideally, that comes down into single digits before you get like an actual potential trending breakout move to the upside. But long term, I'd still be very much bullish on it. Actually, it's a phenomenal chart, in fact. And one of the other sort of market dynamics that would make me really consider that Bitcoin's macro cycle is unlikely to be done here. It's just, I mean, we're kind of getting like a double. It seems to me like it's probably a double bubble or something like that. Mohammed, Mr. Shaikh says, my Ric Flair, woo! USDT daily, please. I am seeing whale influencers are now learning about the zero fees tradings on Woo. Sounds like a marketing scam, or sorry, a marketing pitch right there. Not necessarily a scam. I don't know if it's a scam. Let's go look at it. Okay, let's check it out right here. Pretty good. Actually, yeah, this would be one of the better acting charts, certainly. This one's popped above its prior range highs. That was about 63.5, 64 cent region. And I'd be looking for this one to trade a little bit higher, probably around the prior time high, about 1.25. This one looks good. Daily TSI turning up, daily RSI reaching for the bullish control zone. Weekly doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of history here, but it is an uptrend for what it's worth. I remain with the trend, sir. Remain one with the trend. Let the trend be your friend. In this case, even the 4 has a golden cross going on. I'm bullish on all time frames, essentially, with a short-term base at around 92 cents, we'll call it. Looks good. Looks very good. Mr. DeCamps, there he is. The Dominicans are here, and they are back with the Cave and Elsa. What the fuck, Elsa? CT. Me. It's me, Jessica. Oh, you made Elsa very happy, sir. How dare you? All right, Bull and Bear Jesus. We need all Jesuses and Pig Jesus, most importantly. CRV, USDT, CZ, Safu. All right, let's check it out. What is this CRV thing? CRV USD. Was this one of the better ones? No. It's daily. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I do see on daily right there. Okay, so you're saying entry 220 confirming perp derp exit at 70% at 270. Oh wow, man, you have a oh my god. Oh, Mr. DeCamps, man. Oh, Mr. DeCamps. Yeah, that is a phenomenal trade right there, sir. Phenomenal, sir. Phenomenal. So you basically bought you basically bought the last higher low right here. I like it. I like it a lot. This makes positions a lot easier to manage. I kind of did the same thing. I think it was yesterday or the day before as well. No, it was yesterday. I'd be looking for this one to pop up to 269.5, this high right here. Probably plays out a little bit of a short-term pullback, but ultimately, man, I think that you're probably going to look. You can certainly take profits there, and I would if I was trading it myself, I would take at least partials, like 1/3 or half. Off at about 270, but I do think strong, very, very likely to, if it does pop back around that region, it's very likely to continue is the main message that I want to be having, potentially around to like $3, maybe even more. Weekly is not like the most inspiring chart of all time, but I'm inclined to say that this one's having one of the better reactions right now, so I would give it the benefit of the doubt here, which I do think matters most. I mean, this looks like it wants to pop back up to like 3, maybe even 3.5, and maybe even just continue on with the trend. So while I do think it's a very healthy and mature decision to always take profits around like a prior high, for example, which would be your 270 tick, I do think, maybe you consider holding on to like 1/3 of that position, just letting it run a little bit. Of course, it's not finished fights. Maybe I could say that's what I would do in that sort of situation, with a stop maybe around like 240 or so. That should be like a natural base going onwards and forwards from here. Oh, what's up, Mr. Hamilton? But Krown, Twitter said number go up. It is going up right now. For now, sir. For now, indeed. Good to see you, man. By the way, man, I've been watching your videos. They're really good. They're really good. People should check you out. Sav Dylan says HNT USD 4-hour and daily. By the way, man, you're also growing like a fucking weed now too, man. That's awesome. It's really cool to see. I want to support more people that I like more often now. I mean, there's there's a lot of creators that I respect in this venue. I mean, we already spoke about Mitch Ray. We got Hamilton right there. We got Rocky Outcrop. We got my good friend Elliot Trades, but everyone already knows him. Zombie, obviously. Who else? Actually, Kevin Svensson. I always forget him, but he's good. And a few other ones as well, man. Good crew. It's a very good crew. Anyways, you're looking at H&T 4-hour daily. Daily is actually a little bit stronger than most other things, funnily enough. And 4-hour, a little bit under pressure here. Yes. Look, it's kind of the same thing as what I said on a lot of other altcoins. Look, the 4-hour is not looking too hot right here. All things considered, I mean, it is a downtrend for what it's worth. But if Bitcoin pulls through here, assuming it does not break 36,000 bucks, I'd be looking for this one to pop back up to like 16 and a quarter, 16 and a half or so. Daily is a better chart than most altcoins here too. You know, it did get a lot of love. I would even go as far as saying, hey, look, as long as you're above about 13 and a quarter, I play this one sideways and up here. Tops out of your range is going to be somewhere around here. Somewhere around like 18 and a half. I think that you're just generally going to trade sideways and probably test that region again, over like the next month or so. Weekly's okay. It's not really too telling one way or the other. Again, I just think it's easier to watch Bitcoin. If you break 36,000 bucks on Bitcoin, yeah, I'd be looking for a move back down to like, what is this, 12 and a half, 12 and a quarter, something like that. But until that happens, man, I think you play most altcoins sideways and up alongside Bitcoin as long as it holds 36. What's up, Mr. Ciano? Sir, Sol on hourly. I've perhaps taken on a position. All right, Sol on an hourly, huh? So it must be like a short-term thing, I'm guessing. Okay, actually, daily's looking fine here too, man. Well, I guess I'll just do exactly what you said, but hourly's looking fine. I'd be looking for a short-term move back up to about 42 and a half. Daily and weekly are actually pretty damn good here. I'd probably be looking for that to ultimately extend the run all the way to maybe even $48, $49. But you're specifically asking for an hourly, so I guess I'll just leave it there. Hourly though at 42 and a half is where I'd be looking towards. Looks okay. All right, Bitcoin, you gonna hold it or what, sir? Hey, what's up, Nate? There he is. I'm excited. I'm so excited for a bear market. I would love a bear market, man. But I don't know if this is really the time to be looking for just yet. $10 Bitcoin range and Krown's 24-hour gaming stream. There we go. That's actually what I do love. Please check Azul daily. Okay, what is this? Another Nate stock over here. Let's see what he's got. He always finds these like long form accumulation stocks that are getting ready to roll. To be honest, actually, this one I am not as big of a fan. Next move down, very likely to 26 and a half or so. Let's go for the monthly for a second. See if the monthly has something else to be shown. I'm inclined to say that this one's actually a little bit short-term toppy, to be honest with you. Now, this breakout over here is real, yes. So as long as it does protect the breakout, long-term direction is up, but short-term down. What time frames did you say? Oh, you're looking at daily. I'd probably be looking for a little bit of short-term down and then probably try higher. But I don't like the way that the weekly looks right now. And generally speaking, if you're looking at daily targets, I'd say 31 bucks is kind of like the major one right there. Above there, it can really run. But I would be a little bit more. I'm not as inspired about this chart as I am with a lot of your other charts. Yeah, this is linear scale right here. I'm not getting too much from this, to be honest with you, man. I do like the breakout. The breakout is real, yes. But I need to see it consolidate a little bit here and then try some upside. And probably short term does come a little bit more down. Let's see what the hourly looks like. Hourly stair stepping, to be fair. All right, fair enough. I guess you give the benefit of the doubt to this one, and you do say, and I do say like 31 bucks or so. What was it? Was it 31 bucks? Yeah, it was about 31 bucks. I suppose I'd stick with that in this case. I do think the short-term timeframes are actually a little bit more confidence-inducing there now that I looked at them. Hey, what's up, Solverine? Ordered Fooled by Randomness. Nice one, man. Yeah, great book right there. Again, Nassim Taleb, not necessarily the first person I'd choose for like going out with a beer, I suppose. Not that I even like beers, but as far as books go, great. Absolutely amazing. Mind checking Frontline. I thought you said Fortnite. Weekly and bi-monthly. Okay. Frontline. Okay, I'm actually not familiar with one. Let's see, what is this? All right, trades on New York Stock Exchange, and you're looking at weekly and bi-month. Oh, Jesus Christ, I can already see this chart. No. Stay away from charts like this, man. Look, I understand that you're probably looking at log scale, and look, it probably is going to go up to somewhere around like $10 or so, but goddamn, man, I stay as far away as possible from charts like this. It does have some monthly upside, and maybe even bi-monthly as well. Look, you can't be bullish on this one long term as long as it's below this area right here. It's 1264. Above there, yeah, it can probably go for a run. I mean, this one actually has a lot of space between these two levels right here is where I'd be looking towards if that level is taken out. But I'm just never gonna like a chart that looks like this, man. It's just a monstrosity. It's AIDS on my eye holes once again. But again, you know, does very likely have some short-term upside there, to be fair. Abbott says, sir, I love walks. I'm the creepy guy walking around town at night. Actually, I do the walks at morning, but yeah, it seems like we're one and the same, just opposites. Since day journaling and starting a workout routine, there have been lots of improvements in training in my waist. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, you know, it's a weird thing that like a lot of the time people think that or people have this idea of like you know, in shape people or muscular people or just people who look healthy are in some way not smart or dumb. But I would argue completely the opposite. Bless you, sir. Bless you. I'd argue completely the opposite. It's like, okay, first off, if you are smart, then you know why health benefits are important. And then more importantly, you're never going to be able to operate at your maximum mental capacity if you're not also taking care of your physical, if you're not taking care of your physical needs. I mean, we as humans, man, we as fucking humans have evolved for like hundreds of thousands of years with mostly being extremely active for like 99% of that history. It's not until like the last, you know, a couple hundred years where we've become a lot more sedentary, and really like the last 50 years where we become like extremely sedentary. Like we're so weak nowadays compared to what we actually need, but we have all of these biological needs that essentially give us reward mechanisms for actually spending ourselves physically, and which allows us to kind of recuperate and relax and come back better. And if you don't get that, then you turn into one of those fucking weirdos on Twitter who's like always having an argument. Like if you want to see true mental disorders, go on fucking Twitter. It doesn't even matter if it's crypto Twitter, although there's certainly a few accounts there that I could highlight. That, you know, they just spend all day just like talking shit to other people and getting riled up about politics, about which coin that you like, or you don't like my style of analysis, so fuck you. Like that is a byproduct of not understanding why your physical needs are so fucking important. If you go out and run like a marathon, are you going to spend your time on Twitter like arguing with people? No. Are you like, you have to like think about these people too. It's like on their deathbed one day, which we're all going to go to. On your deathbed, you're going to be thinking, man, I wish I got into more arguments online. That was really a good use of my limited time on this place. I mean, not only that, but like you're not even changing anyone's mind to begin with. Anyways, different conversation altogether. But my point is that, yeah, absolutely. You know, your physical and mental health are 100% interrelated with each other. So, you know, you'd be, in my opinion, and please do not take this offensively if you don't agree with this, but in my opinion, you'd be a complete fucking moron if you do not treat it as such. I mean, you're playing a game with massive financial consequences, both good and bad, against other people. And you're not going to try your best to optimize every little part that will put you in a better state in order to do well in that game. You're just wasting your fucking time if you're not doing that. It's ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. And to have that level of entitlement where you don't even put in the fucking work all the way around and expect results. I mean, that's just like I think the worst portions about our society today is that, you know, we have those ideas for whatever god awful reason. Anyways, way off track there once again. Already says, hi Krown, tell BTC on daily time frame. All right, let's check it out. This one was one of the better actors of like the last month, I think, in fact. Let's see how it's doing today. I remember I saw it on the losers list this morning. Still holding the uptrend right here. You know, I still give it the benefit of the doubt as it was one of the better actors, but we do see BBWP coming extremely low here. I think that this one's actually gearing up for a nice move here. I still look at this as reaccumulation. Yes, it's a sloppy chart because it's an altcoin. Probably not a whole hell of a lot of liquidity here. Short term, can it come back down to like, you know, 8,500? Yeah, it can. In fact, I think even yesterday we did say it was going to come down to like 86 or 87, which we already got. I'd be looking for it to probably bounce somewhere around here, and then, you know, assuming that the market generally stays healthy. I mean, all momentum oscillators are suggesting more upside daily RSIs well, kind of flat there, but daily BBWP is suggesting that we do get it like a mega move relatively soon. And I'm generally going to go in the same direction as the trend when you do see something like that. Now, if this one does take out the last higher low, which would be around like 8,000 Satoshis, then yeah, you got some problems and you probably come back down, well, ultimately way below 7,000 Satoshis, but that'll be the next target. Ultimately, it'd be like, I don't know, 5,000, 4,000. But I don't think that's what's happening here. I think you play with the trend and maybe takes a little bit more weighting, but overall, again, one of the better actors. It's kind of a sloppy chart, being that I imagine it doesn't have too much liquidity available in an altcoin like that. All right, Abbott says, I do feel I've been reinventing myself. Trading is a hell of a journey. Do you hate the club because Elsa made you dance in the cage? Sounds Finnish. Actually, Finnish people are the most shy and hands-off people of all time, so definitely not be them. Finnish people... That's exactly right. You heard me, sir. You know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Finnish people do not talk to each other. If you go to the gym, or if you go to like a coffee place, or if you go on like public transport and you talk to someone, that's like no one's ever done that ever in the history of Finland.
Yeah, if they're drunk, we talk to them.
Yeah, and if they're drunk, then it all comes out because they're fucking humans and they need human contact as well. But that's how I'm pretty sure that's how Finnish like culture perpetuates itself. It's like everyone just kind of grows up in their little bubbles, and then everyone just gets drunk as fuck because alcohol is a humongous portion of this culture. And then around like, your mid early 20s, you just get super blacked out one night and you meet some other person who's equally as blacked out, so you can actually say hello, and then they have sex, and then they make a baby, and it's like they stay with each other for the rest of their lives. It's the weirdest thing of all time. What did we do when we were in a club? Well, we drank and then we fucked. That's how we met, so. Cole Evans says, hi, Krown. You said Cardano looked bad on the short-term timeframes. Can you give a downside estimation on Binance USD? Look, man, there is no downside as long as Bitcoin stays up. I mean, that's like the hard. Maybe I'm not being clear enough with this. Look, man. As long as Bitcoin does not shit the bed below $36,000, I don't think that there's going to be actual downside on pretty much any altcoin, to be honest with you. If Bitcoin does break down, so we're making an assumption right here, I need to be very fucking clear because hopefully I don't get misheard on this one as well. Then I would be looking for a retest of like 145, 146 region. I don't think that's what's happening. I think Bitcoin holds it up here. You see a lot of altcoins kind of looking a little bit weaker, but ultimately, as long as Bitcoin stays up, altcoins very likely do not break down. If Bitcoin breaks down though, yeah, I'd be looking for it back down around about just below 150, we'll call it. And maybe try us for another low there too. Toby1 Hexobi says, hey Krown, what's up, man? How about that new all-time high for Hex USD? Where from here? I'm still looking at 8.5 cent there. Although I never traded it. Pulse Chain launch is imminent. Thanks, you rock. Appreciate that, man. Cool. I don't know what Pulse Chain is, but sounds, I don't know, man, if it's anything like fucking X. I don't know. Maybe I should learn what it is. Yeah, man, it's still one of the best charts in cryptocurrency. We looked at it earlier. I'm still looking like 8 to 8.5 cent region, and I don't know, maybe more over time, but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it do a little bit of consolidation after that. Sombrero on the hourly head. How dare you, sir? How dare you make fun of me on this glorious green dildo day, sir? How dare you? But yeah, man, Hex still one of the better charts, to be fair. We at the bottom of the comments here. I think oh no, Elsa's just being lazy. Mr. Pasek says, TLRY. Do you mean Tilray, or are you looking at this? Let's see. Okay. You can trade Tilray on FTX. Okay. Well, I'm not going to look at it on the FTX. I'm going to look at it on NASDAQ. There's just going to be more history here. Yeah, it is putting in a bit of a reversal here. We do have a higher low on the weekly. Short term plays in a bit of a range, I imagine. Just kind of hit a short term high, it looks like, right around here. See, yep, actually right fucking there. Nice one. I'd be looking for it to go a little bit sideways and then probably try some more upside over the next I don't know, the next couple months here. Probably back up towards $29, $30. Now here's the thing, above this area right here, above about $31, I would be looking for big moves to the upside. At that point, I would look at this as reaccumulation complete. But I imagine it's going to take a long time, man. So I'd just be looking for sideways here. But what time frame did you give on this one? Daily and weekly, yeah. So you are looking long term, but weekly has a lot of good signals going on right here. So I do think that sideways and up is is a general idea here. Areas of interest basically around like $30 to $31. Let's look at the monthly too, just out of curiosity. Yeah, same thing here too. I mean, you might have a higher low on the monthly here for what it's worth. So perhaps that does happen a little bit sooner than what I first considered. But you're really looking at about $31. It's like the major pivot for that one. Above there, you can start to look for like actual big moves towards $50 or so. Long term, that is. Ivo T says, F you from Owl. How do you say it? Owl. Oh, nice one, man. F you too, sir. But I mean, what do I mean by that? I mean, forever yours. That's F you, sir. Buani Yo says, yo, bro, check out the hex chart. We actually already looked at it, man. We can look at it one more time, I guess. Yeah, man, it still looks pretty damn good. I'm still looking at about 8.5 cents here, maybe more over time, but a lot of good things going on. I mean, it's certainly one of the best charts in cryptocurrency land, regardless of your thoughts of the asset itself. But as far as general charts goes, I mean, momentum turning up right here. Daily TSI powerful, daily RSI powerful as fuck. Breakout is literally happening like right now. Pretty good signals, man. I'd be looking somewhere around like 8.5 cents, maybe a little bit of a short-term consolidation there, and then we'll see the next move after that. But one of the more impressive charts, to be fair. All things considered, very, very good. Very fucking good. All right, is that it? No, we got Nate. You missed Nate. It looks like bullish hats. Can you check out NCLH on daily and weekly? Okay, NCLH. Okay, what is this? Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. All right. Short-term down. But short-term down resolved probably by long-term up. I mean, this is a good chart on the daily and the weekly. Yeah, looking fine. What time frame were you looking at there, sir? 8? Daily and weekly. Okay, yeah. I would be looking at a bit of a pivot somewhere between about 37 and 39 region. I do like it though. This one does very likely trade up from here. Weekly telling the story. Weekly RSI hidden bullish evidence back in the bullish control zone. Weekly TSI turning up like freshly in the bullish bias zone. Weekly Jewel is in a bullish posturing. I'll be looking for this one to continue the party for a little bit longer. Yeah, monthly targets are about $38 as well. So a little bit more there. It's looking decent. Looking decent, man. Let me make sure that I got everything here. I think I did get everything. All right, we are about 2 hours into this. Hey, what's up, Josh? Should I make my life easier and just trade Bitcoin? Okay, knowing you, Josh, I probably would say yes, mostly because it sounds like you trade bigger lots, so Bitcoin's just going to be one, better liquidity, and two, I think it's generally easier to trade just because I don't know, the charts just seem to make a lot more sense. And for the majority of moves, like Bitcoin essentially, leads the market, right? So I would say yes. But it's something to consider because here's the thing. Altcoins will generally follow Bitcoin, but a lot of the time they will make a more emotional move than Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin goes to the upside, they typically, do a little bit more. When Bitcoin goes to the downside, they usually do a lot more, in fact, in that case. So to me, it's like, look, I know you and I know that you actually have the equity to trade, and realistically, with Bitcoin moving like $1,000 in an hourly range, like there's a lot of fucking opportunity in that, man. Like that's really something to consider. Whereas like altcoins, yeah, you get the same move as well, but can you have the liquidity with them, right? With Bitcoin, you got the liquidity. I mean, you really don't have issues until you get into like, nowadays, probably like 9 digits if I had to guess. I mean, even 8 digits, the market can generally speaking, hold up relatively well. But 9 digits, like 100 million plus, that's when things get a little more shaky, I would imagine. Now, I don't trade on that scale, to be fair, but 7 digits, no problem. 8 digits, maybe a little bit more shaky. 9 digits is where I'd imagine that starts to become like a major issue. But yeah, man, for me, Bitcoin just makes more sense, more liquidity. Charts look a little more obvious for the most part. Yeah, sometimes that's not necessarily true. If you're asking me, I'd say yes, but again, that's of course up to you. All right. Okay, let's see. AAA has a good question right here. Good morning from sunny Dublin. Nice. I hear that doesn't happen too often over there in Ireland, I'm guessing. Do you trade on a trade to trade basis, or do you still trade in batches? What do you mean by that? Do you mean like, do I do things in well, I think what you mean is like, how do I enter and exit positions? I do it typically in thirds. So I'll enter like 1/3 of the position, like a little bit above where my targeted region is, 1/3 a little bit below, and 1/3 like at the actual target. And then same thing for the exit as well. I don't know if that's what you mean though, if you mean by batches. DeCamp says, Josh, optimize for charts. Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, you could also remain in that sort of and that sort of disposition as well. I think if you're mostly trading though, if you're mostly trading like short-term timeframes, and when I say short-term timeframes, I mean like basically below a daily, it's probably easier to do Bitcoin just because liquidity is going to be there and the moves are certainly there as well. If you're looking for like the moonshots long term, that's a different game. So it really depends on your trading style. Like if you're looking for that fucking, you know, I know that you traded VET like basically all the way from the low to all the way to the high. Like that's going to be not something that's like easy to do necessarily on Bitcoin. You know, I think you did all the way over here to like all the way over here. I mean, that's just fucking insane. You know, you're not going to get that sort of a move on Bitcoin at this point. But you know, it's all relative, obviously. So maybe that's your game. Maybe your game is finding those altcoins that are most likely to just have these massive rocketing moves. You know, like you see right here. I mean, that's fair enough, but that's not really what I do. So I'm giving you my personal perspective, which may or may not be relevant to you. And as DeCamp said, you know, you could have different stacks for different purposes, right? You could have a stack that you essentially look for, you know, long-term, I guess, moonshots in this case, or just, you know, long-term uptrends. Maybe you have a stack that you trade, you know, maybe you have a stack that you just trade like short-term timeframes on Bitcoin. That's completely up to you, and perhaps maybe that's a more reasonable response. And actually, big shout out to Mr. DeCamps for that. That's actually very, 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 very reasonable. And yeah, I'd agree. Andre Materia says, "Can you look at Matic?" This is the first time someone's asked about Matic. That's very interesting. Let's see what Matic's doing. Yeah, Matic not acting the best here either, which is of particular interest, seeing as it was one of the better ones, especially over the last 6-7 months. Now, what time frames are you looking at? 4 hour if Bitcoin goes up to 40K. Okay, so we're making an assumption here. We're making an assumption to be very, very clear. The assumption is if Bitcoin goes to $40,000, where do you find Matic? I'd be looking for Matic somewhere back around about 180, 190-ish region. If Bitcoin starts to go to like the mid to upper $40,000 territory, I'd be looking for it back around this region here at about 2.25, 230-ish region. And that starts to look pretty damn good. Now, remember, the long-term on Matic is still, in my opinion, pretty fucking good right here. There's nothing really bearish about the monthly. Now, at some point, this will obviously pull back and put in like an actual, you know, structure. But for right now, it's just continuing to melt. So give it the benefit of the doubt, at least for the time being. Okay. Oh, what's up, St. Lucifer? What's up, man? Sup Krown per derps on, actually, it looks like Elsa's thing just hid the symbol right there. But, oh, I see it. Uber. Okay, Uber daily, weekly. All right, Uber. There we go, on New York Stock Exchange. You're looking at daily, weekly. Monthly doesn't look too hot. Weekly, I'd be looking for it to trade back down to about 47.5 and probably try for another bounce there. I do not like this structure though, to be honest with you. Daily's pretty weak too. Downtrend in progress. Yeah, I'd be looking for next move down, 47.5. Maybe a short-term bounce there. Big base somewhere right around 44.5. Not a humongous fan of this chart, to be honest with you. All higher term timeframes suggest it at the very best sideways in this range. There's not really much bullish things about this thing as long as it's below this last sort of lower high here on the weekly. So you do have potentially a weekly downtrend in progress. There's your lower high, there's your low. The second that you go below this region right here at $47 on a weekly closing basis, then you have your downtrend, and I'd be looking for big moves down to like $40, maybe even more. But for right now, just look for it to play between the 21 and 55 for a bit. Maybe give it a chance long term. Ian Lynn says Ethereum USD daily, sir, if you don't mind looking for same entries. You don't need the hat, sir. I like your hair. Appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, sir. All right, let's see. Ethereum. Yeah, we haven't really even looked at Ethereum USD today either. No time frames given, so I'm not exactly sure. Oh no, you did say daily. Okay. All right, so daily. What are we looking at right here? Look. Okay, we're going to make an assumption right here. I want to be very clear with this. This is an assumption. This is not saying that this is going to happen, but I do believe that Bitcoin very likely does carry upwards and onwards from this region, as long as it does not break $36,000 on a time frame that actually matters. Let's say 4 hour perhaps. As long as that does not happen, I would be looking for Bitcoin to trade back up towards about $40,000 to $41,000 short term. Ethereum probably trades back up towards 2,900, and I look at this as like the next major base. Daily's just kind of, I mean, this would technically be a higher low if it can put in a low right there, which is not just yet. 12 hour is a little bit more confidence inducing with still a stronger base at around 2450-ish region, to be fair. But this is probably the most compelling time frame for this for this underline. We look at this right here. No, I guess it's not that chart. Is it this chart right here? Yeah, it's this chart right here. Looking at something like this is what I'd be saying. So you are looking at some sort of a reaccumulation formation. Top side is going to be about 2,900 Satoshis. Bottom side's rising at around 2,450-ish region. Could definitely have some tests back down around there. Look for Bitcoin on direction, but assuming that Bitcoin pops up to 40,000 bucks, I'd be looking for Ethereum somewhere around about 2,900. Bitcoin above about 41, which initiates the next sort of stretch up to, I think it was like mid 40s target. Then you probably see Ethereum trade up somewhere around 33 to 3,400 Satoshis. I don't necessarily hate the weekly here. Still okay, I guess. Monthly is it's not the picture of health and fitness, but I do think that it can pull through. It really depends how we actually close this one out. And with another 20 days left to go, it's kind of inconclusive right now. Maybe the bi-weekly has something to say. Bi-weekly still good. Just test down to the 10 simple. I actually don't have any issues with this at all. I actually do think that this one's a little more on the Bulot-ish side. Daily is not too confidence-inducing, to be fair. But again, watch Bitcoin for direction. I think if Bitcoin does break below 36, I would be looking for potentially, if I were trading this, an entry somewhere around about 24 to 2450-ish region. With an obvious risk management point, like quite literally at about 2,400 bucks. Let's call it like a 4 hour, perhaps that's pretty much your last 4 hour low. Yeah, right around here, 2,450 actually. So again, Bitcoin's easier to watch on direction below 36,000 bucks. I look for that next move to the downside, another like 100 to 150. As long as that doesn't happen, I look for this to probably try for a bit of a higher low right here and work its way back onto 29. All right, cool. I think we are fully at the bottom now. What's up, second domino? When you're ready, the hat appears. Yes, that's right, man. The hat knows exactly where you should be, just like Harry Potter. Is it Kangol? Actually, I don't know. No, it's Bratz. It's fucking Bratz, man. I think my hair looks even better now, actually. It's crazy. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else that I missed here? Let's double check. Hey Jev, yeah man, we spoke about Ethereum Bitcoin earlier, Jev, and I do think it has some more downside there, but ultimately I do think about 6.5 million Satoshis is probably about the base for that one. Okay, I think. Okay, Aaron FX has a really good question. Do you personally feel, not that this is a good thing to be going off of at all, but do you personally feel Ethereum will hit 2.2 today or tomorrow? That's my entry. It depends what Bitcoin does here. I don't think that that's what's happening. I think Bitcoin essentially consolidates short term here, does not break 36, maybe test back down around there, at which point I'd be looking at Ethereum maybe 24, but not 22. I mean, that's another like what, almost 10% down. I wouldn't feel confident saying that, no. Again, assuming that Bitcoin does not break 36, which I do not think that it will, I'd be looking, no, I do not think so, no. Answer your question just bluntly. Left side of hair was bullish, right side not so much. All right, I think we'll end on that note, fellas. All right, fellas. It's been an absolute pleasure. My voice is wrecked once again, but it's all good. It's some good fun, man. We saw the bear trap. We are now looking for a little bit of sideways and up from this region right here. I'm still looking at somewhere around about 40 to 41,000 bucks, above 41,000 bucks, whatever the high of this dildo is. On 26th of May, that would be about 48,900, or a closing high above 39.3. I'd be looking to extend that run into the mid, maybe even deep $40,000 territory. Let's say like 45,000 bucks, just kind of cut in the middle right now, and then come back to it over the next few days here. But several things still suggesting more upside: daily Joule, daily RSI, daily TSI, and several things that we looked at over here like MACD, SMI as well. So many things still suggesting a little bit of continuation from this region. And then we'll talk over the next few days if and when Bitcoin does get into the mid $40,000 territory. I would still express a little bit of caution within that region. Bitcoin is not out of the woods. Until we either hold 50,000 bucks or we satisfy all three conditions that we laid out at the beginning of this video for a major and perhaps macro low. So with that said, I do want to wish you the best of the best. I salute you. Have a nice day, and hopefully see you soon.
Write it, code it, name it, tweet it, mine it, stack it, live it, dream it, post it, scan it, charge it, send it, do it, and receive it. Trade it, buy it, sell it, store it, run it, list it, first rename it. Crypto logic. Pump it, hack it, lose it, dump it, sell it, ditch it, XR, pitch it, copy, paste it, nudge it, test it,